Purim Sameach to everyone. Let me thank again our sponsors for this month of Adar, Chaya and Yol Fuld, Le'ilin Nishmat, their son Hillel, Al Vasham and Yol Yaakov Sheyichya, and thank our anonymous sponsor as well as a schut for all our soldiers fighting with God's help for our defense. We invoke Hashem's blessings on them as well, especially on this Purim day. You know, there's so many fascinating things about the Megillah, so many things to talk about, but one thing among others, actually stood out for me last night and this morning. It's a pasuk in Parak Chet where the Jewish people are given a very unique right. Asher natan hamelech laYehudim, asher b'chol ir va'ir, that the king gave the Jews the right in every city, likahel, to assemble, v'la'amod al nafsham, and to defend their lives, lashmid, laharog, ulabed, to destroy, to kill, to annihilate, et kochel amu medina hatzarim atam, tafin Hashem, to annihilate every army, every people, and every province that torments us, that has risen against us, children and women included, ushlalam lavos, and to take their spoils. The king gave us that right, which of course we declined. It's very interesting because there is such a thing as natural law, and one of the primary dimensions of natural law is the right of self-defense, the right of self-defense of an individual, and certainly of a nation as well. And yet here it's as if, well, not as if, this is what happened. The king authorized, whether knowingly or not, the extermination of every Jew in his kingdom, but did not even allow them, essentially deprive them of their right of self-defense. And now what's happened, since the king could not retract his previous command that the haters of Jews can go kill them, what the king essentially did was give us the right of self-defense. Where does that come from? It should ring a very discordant bell for us, because obviously we're living through an era, the last few years, if not the last few decades, in which the right of Jews to defend ourselves is not assumed. In fact, it's considered to be something exceptional and something that we are only to, a right that we're only to exercise when the other nations approve. We can't be too forceful. We can't be too disproportionate. We can't win. We cannot defeat our enemies totally. That is not part of the objective. Who's Hatsarimotam? So you see, the Parshanim disagreed, meaning we're allowed to kill those who are attacking us, which should seem obvious, but again, Nachon Lachshav is not really. But the Ibn Ezra says, Hatzarotam Shetzarotam Kodem Zehazman, even those who tormented us and threatened us before this time, meaning anyone who was an avowed enemy of the Jewish people in the past, even if they did not rise up against us on the 13th of Adar of that year, nonetheless, we had the right to go out and to take the war to them. According to Ibn Ezra, it's actually a much more expansive right, which leads us into a modern debate, which actually, again, we're living through now. My neighbor, Rabbi Dr. Shlomo Brody, who lives right over there, wrote this book a year or so ago called Ethics of Our Fighters. And one of the things he takes up is the difference between preemptive war and preventative war. Preemptive war is something we're familiar with from the Six-Day War. An enemy is about to attack, the attack is imminent, so logic, as well as the Torah and even international law, gives a nation the right to preempt that attack, to take the war to the enemy on its own terms and not wait to be attacked. Preventative war, meaning anticipatory war, is a little more dicey because there the threat is not imminent, but there's a threat down the road. And if that threat is actualized, it will be far worse for the threatened nation. That, by the way, is the argument of President Trump. We, of course, with Iran, it's not even preventative. We know what their intentions are through the uses of their proxies. But for the United States, it's a preventative war, meaning there is a threat. That threat is somewhat down the road. It's not a threat in real time, but if that threat would ever become real, by then it's too late to deal with it. So, in fact, there is such a thing as preventative war. There's an argument that President Bush made when he went to war in Iraq, little ill-fated, but he said we either deal with terrorism and this extremism abroad, or we deal with it when it comes to us. Well, Israeli doctrine always was to take the war to the enemy. We failed in that the last few decades, hence the constant bombardments from Lebanon, hence the invasion of Hamas from Gaza. We failed to take the war to the enemy and instead absorbed horrendous casualties. Well, now we're back in that mindset as well, that we are allowed, we're even authorized, commanded by the Torah to take the war to the enemy. That is also part of the story of the Megillah. We're not just fighting against those who attack us, but like the Ibn Ezra said, we're fighting against those who were against us before, and who knows, when they have the opportunity, they'll do it again. And the Megillat Starim, the Bala Nativa, Rabbi Yaakov of Lisa writes, it's not just that we kill them physically, but la'abed means la'abed datam, destroy their ideology. If you don't destroy the ideology, then it's going to resuscitate at a certain point with children and grandchildren, other generations. It remains alive. Lashmid la rogue ula abed, to kill the enemy, but also do what we can to make sure that their ideology is also uprooted, like Nazism was, also uprooted and can no longer pose a threat. All those are the lessons of Purim, 5786 edition. Purim Sameach to all.